Hello and welcome to another video. So today me and Cora we're off for a wild camp at Snape Fell in the Forest of Bowland, and I thought, well, it's been a few years that me and Cora have been going wild camping, so I thought I'd give you my top 10 tips for wild camping. Thought I'd best do that part of the video now because I'm not saying top 10 tips when I've had a couple of beers. But for now we're gonna walk up the hill. Come on, come on, come on. Hello, oh hello, oh hello, hello. She's a good girl. Yes, yes. Come here, up, come here. Tip number 1, recall. Come on then, let's go. Because if you're gonna come wild camping with your dog or even hiking, if you're going to let them off the lead, what you need is really good recall. You've got to depend they'll come back. If you haven't got that, work on it and use either, you know, a long line or just keep them on the lead until they can do that, because you certainly don't want to be losing your dog out on the fells. So you needed a reason to have good recall. I just had one then. Not sure if we can catch it, but there's a dead sheep over there, and Cora obviously got the scent for it, went straight over. No! Just having to tell her off again not to go over. Now, she did something similar in the Hidden Valley of Glencoe, and she found herself a dead deer, and my fault, wasn't keeping a close enough eye on her, but she had to be. She's keeping an eye on her, and that night in the tent, oh boy, did she vomit. It was not a pleasant experience. Luckily I had some wipes and we cleaned it up and she was okay the next day, but you definitely need that. You definitely need that control over your dog, so you know stop, and they stop and they come back when you tell them, because they could end up really unwelcome. Plus you don't want some farmer coming after them with his gun if they worry his sheep. But luckily Cora's got that, or rather she's learned that skill, and took a lot of hard work with her, because she was a little bit older when I got her and she'd not done any recall training. Sorry, I'm just giggling at her in the background there laying down. I'll post a link. There's a guy on YouTube who does some videos on recall. He's very good. I think he calls it compassionate leadership, the style of training he does. But it is important to learn. But I know I'm going to keep on slogging up this really steep hill, and I'll speak to you again when we get up near the top, I think. Come on, come on, this way. Good girl. Tip number 2. You're going to need a dog lead, or as our American friends would call it, a dog leash, which not only are you comfortable with using, but also that the dog is used to having. Now, Cora, she prefers and works much better with the collar, and a lead, and I have a, see if I can show you, if I can get in here, got a piece of what is, to all intents and purposes, kind of like climbing rope with a carabiner on it that I just attach to her lead when I need to, and you will need to from time to time. Even if your dog's the best, you might come across another dog that's quite unruly and you want to just hook yours out the way. I've tried quite a few. I've tried attaching the lead to a harness for her and a collar. I've tried running leads with the elastication to them so there's a bit of stretch. I've tried retractable leads on a carabiner attached to my belt to let her run about a bit. I've tried long leads, but what suits me the best is just a straightforward piece of rope. So that's tip number 2. Find yourself a lead that you both get on with. Good girl. Up. There you go. There you go. Good girl. Okay, as you can see, Cora's got a harness on, even though I don't use a harness on a lead, because it's got this. It's got a handle. Turns it into a suitcase. What I'd say if you're looking at a harness with a handle, is make sure it's got this rear part so they don't slip out when you're lifting them up. Top tip number 3. Get your dog a harness with a handle on it. That is, of course, depending on the size of your dog, because if you've got a 12 stone mastiff, you may not you may not be able to pick the dog up, and if, like my son, you've got a really tiny beautiful Jack Russell, the dog's going to just jump up and sit on your shoulder while you do whatever you're doing. But for most size dogs, a harness with a handle is brilliant. Cora is quite adept even. Cora is quite adept at most styles and obstacles, but she's half retriever, so she's no twinkle toes, shall we say. Not like a spaniel who can jump about 4 or 5 foot in the air. So sometimes she needs a helping hand, and we've tried the expensive harnesses. We had one from Mountain Dog. I think it was possibly a rough wear. I think it was. That was really expensive. It was very good, but when it wore out, I bought her this cheap one by Mountain Paws. It was about 20-25 quid on Amazon. I've had it a year and it's still going strong, and it serves its purpose. It's a lovely place to hike this. It's really quiet of an evening. It's kind of on the outskirts of the Lake District, so you've got beautiful countryside around you. You can see out across the Irish Sea. It looks like a windmill bank. And as you come round, there's a nice little sun inversion over there. Kind of looking down towards Preston and past that Liverpool. Tip number 4. A receptacle, or something to put your dog's poo bags into, so you can carry them to the nearest bin or take them home and put you in your own bin, rather than leaving poo bags hanging off trees on the side of beautiful dry stone walls. Myself, I take a dicky bag, which I'll put some information on. I've done a video about that. I'll just show you. It's just we can get that in shot. There we go. It's just hanging off the side of me belt on my pack, and it's basically a neoprene tube with a zip on it. You can pop your poo bags into. It's got an air freshener in it. It's got a compartment for keeping the clean poo bags. Just saves you leaving a mess on the hills for some poor kids to stand in. It's tip number 4. Something to take your poo home in. Or your dog's poo home in. Well, depends what you're into. To my left is the summit cairn, which is a fine cairn, if I do say so myself, and just behind that is the little windbreaks that are up here, which are brilliant. And then further on, and wow, what a view! That's the summit trig point, and I very much hope that the camera can show you this. I'll take a picture of my phone as well. But behind me here is a view which actually goes out right across to the Lake District, and I think that's possibly, I don't know, Ulverston perhaps, that you can see out in the distance there. That's fantastic. That is such a splendid view. I'll do my very best to zoom in and get a close up so you can see it. So we're gonna, it's a bit windy, a bit chilly. I'm gonna take a little bit of shelter now here on the windbreak, and get my coat on, then I'll find a pitch for the tent. A bit chilly now, but it's time for tip number 5. Tip number 5 is dog bowl. So you need one of these sometimes for water, although Cora actually prefers streams. But if you're giving them the food, I like to give them in a dog bowl rather than, I know some people put it on the floor and let them eat it. So let's have a look at this one. This one is just an Amazon special. It's see if we can show you. There we go. Just pops out, goes flat to store it, and there we are. Wait. Ah, sit. 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 Wait. Wait. Go on. So we've tried a couple of bowls. I started out by using just a takeaway bowl, to be honest, just a little plastic thing. They do break quite easily in your bag. I then bought a material bowl that went flat, a bit like an envelope, which was okay, but it does absorb water, so you end up with a soaking wet bowl that does eventually leak. So I very much prefer the pop-out bowls like this one that Cora's using today. So there you have tip 5, a dog bowl. Tent up, and I have to say this Wonderland 2-person backpacking tent must be the easiest tent to put up I've ever had the pleasure to erect. Absolutely brilliant, so straightforward to pitch. You just peg out the, I didn't use the footprint by the way, you just peg out the inside, then the fly sheet just literally clips on at each corner, and then it's just a matter of pegging out the guy lines. Really straightforward, really quick. But anyway, I can see that you're absolutely gagging to know what tip 6 is. So without any further ado, it's here, it's in my hand, and it is a super thin, and I do mean super thin, seat mat. Now these are actually made by, or at least sold by Atom Packs, as a ultra lightweight backpacking sleep mat. And what I've done, I've cut it in half and I carry it on the outside of my pack. I use it as a seat mat for me, but I also use it to put down for Cora to sleep on while she's covered up, which I'll show you in a bit. And it just insulates her enough off the floor. I suspect she probably doesn't need it because she's got a lovely double coat, but I just feel happier that she's got a mat. She also, it's part of her sleep system that gives her her own place in the tent as well, so she knows where she sort of, you know, lives while we're camping, and I think she appreciates that. But for now I'm going to get the rest of my stuff in the tent anyway. Now tip number 7 is something that I've brought with us, but we haven't had to use today because the rain forecast was really good. In other words, it hasn't rained. But what I do is I carry the item here in my pack on the outside with my waterproofs. And what it is it's a little waterproof jacket for Cora. Now she's a dog with a double coat, so you know she's reasonably well protected from the rain, but it just keeps enough of the elements off her. You know, we're out all day sometimes, maybe for a few days. In fact, if we're through hiking, it could be a couple of weeks, and I think it's important that she's comfortable as she can be. And so if I can keep her a little bit drier when it's absolutely chucking it down with rain, then she puts her little waterproof coat on. It helps me too, because when she gets in the tent she's not shaking as much in there, soaking everything. So there we have it. Tip number 8 is some sort of cover or sleep system for your dog. Now Cora, if you can see her here, has got this, which is, let's see if we can get a little close up on the label for you. No, I can't get a close up on the label because she wants a stroke, but it's actually called a wolf bag, and I'll leave a link below for these as well. This is fantastic. It gives her her own place. She has the insulating mat underneath, but it keeps her warm. It's not majorly thick. It goes in with my sleeping bag and you hardly notice it's there. So thoroughly recommend a wolf bag or anything else. I've tried making my own, wasn't very good. I've tried a fleece blanket, which wasn't very good at keeping her warm because you just knock it off and lay on top of it. But I do like this wolf bag. So there we have number 8. Some sort of cover, something to keep your dog warm. Let's call it a dog sleeping bag. Well, John, got a stroke. Arms. Right then, we're inside the Wonderland tent, and I'm actually pleased. Let's just see if we can give you a perspective on how much space there is. So that's cameras at the back of the tent now, and there's loads of room for one plus a dog. I mean, absolutely loads. I'm very pleased. A really good point, and I genuinely I'm surprised by this, is if I turn this round, you can see my hand, the space. So the space between the inner and the fly is ginormous. It's absolutely massive, which is fantastic because that helps prevent the moisture from the fly sheet, which you do get on the inside, coming through to the inner tent. So I'm very pleased with that. But anyway, enough of my praises for this tent, which I'm very taken by. Let's have a little talk about number 9, I think it is, on the top tips for dog wild camping. So at number 9, let's see if we can get Cora to show you what this is, because it's very good. Come here, darling. Come on, come on. Right then, if you can see this young lady, come here, love. She's got a collar on. Now the collar isn't the point, if that makes sense, because you know it's law to have a collar with, maybe head down, darling, with a tag on, which we've got with her name and my phone number. But importantly, this is not just a collar, it's a collar which I can't turn on. So it's a collar with a light. It's a steady or flashing light. Now hopefully the camera shows that, because it's not quite that dark yet, and I didn't really want to video it when it was dark. And this is incredibly useful with a dog, particularly if you've got a dog that you trust off lead, because when we're out and about, when this young lady needs to go for a pee and I take her out for a little walk, I can see where she is off the lead. She had her collar flashing at Cadder Idris, which was really helpful because we were up in the clag, and it enabled me to keep an eye on her, and she could stay off the lead quite safely. So that's tip number 9. Tip number 10, it's the final tip from me, and that is love your dog, and more than anything, give them loads of tummy tickles, especially if they're in the tent with you, and let them have a good time. Let them enjoy camping and love them, because they'll love you back without any question regardless. So that is the end. That's my top tips. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, I'd be really grateful if you would subscribe, like, and please comment. I love it when people comment, both negative and positive. I'll always reply, and I'll see you very soon on the Coast to Coast, Wainwright Coast to Coast, in 3 weeks' time. I'm doing this walk for a charity that's very, very close to my heart because of my son, and that's for Epilepsy Research UK. If you have a look on any of my recent videos, there's a link to my Just Giving page as well, if you'd be kind enough to donate even £1, even 50p to the Epilepsy Research UK charity. I'll put a link from my Just Giving page anyway. And I'll see you on the Coast to Coast. Take care. Bye bye. Say, we're off. Ta-ra, folks.